few months ago, when I was in a car with my friend, I had a really interesting idea come through my head that I chose to write down as a song lyric because I thought that sounds really good and that's a great springboard for a song. And it was just, attention deficit people don't write a song about it because they don't have the patience to sit and write it down and then I never finished that song. That song about not being able to complete what you started because of your lack of attention span, I could not finish. And I think that is absolutely beautiful. A very accidental case of irony. Yeah. In order to be able to make a piece of art or media, whatever you want to call it, that you can share with the world, you have to have the kind of personality that will finish it in the first place. And so, I just have a feeling like we're not hearing the great voices of people with attention deficit disorder or people who just generally have a hard time focusing. I don't know if I have ADD. I've thought I very strongly had it in the past, and some days I'm not sure. Some days I think it might just be a matter of conditioning, and that it's something that I can condition myself out of, and I'm actively trying to. But yeah, I feel like there are not a whole lot of super great words said about people who don't have a big attention span. Because the people who can relate to it most probably have the hardest time disciplining themselves to share it. Now, granted, there are great works on it that I admittedly haven't consumed a whole lot of it. You know, it takes me a while to really look into a certain condition, be it physical or mental, if I don't want myself to have that problem. I'll lie to myself or just say, okay, maybe I struggled with that in the past, but now I'm done with that. I've moved on from it. When that is probably exactly the opposite thing that would help. It would probably help me a lot more to look up these things and figure out what is the best way to combat it. But what do they always say? Admitting is the first step. Kanye West said that in Bound 2. Brilliant philosopher. You know, I haven't really read up on him in a while. What's he up to these days? I don't know. Hopefully teaching a college course or something. But yeah, what was I saying? Talk about attention deficit disorder. Yeah, that's just a thing with books in general, and a lot of self-help is that, ironically, you can't probably read a whole lot from people that you can relate to because they're not in a place in life where they're pursuing success enough to be able to write about it. Plenty of people can write about their past experiences and how they overcame them, but you won't see a published book today about why somebody can't write a published book. You see, it's like a catch-22. And that's what can feel very grating about self-help in general, regardless of whether it's about attention span or personal success, anything, is that almost by definition, the person writing it has to have attributes that you don't have. And so it puts kind of a distance between you and them. I remember reading a Tony Robbins book where he's talking about navigating, negative feelings. I think it was in Awaken the Giant Within, which is a great book. I mean, he has some really good material. But there is a part where he's talking about how he had a bad attitude because he had all these business calls that he had to make. But then he just came to his proper senses and listened to the optimistic voice inside of him that said, I would have felt blessed to have all these business clients and all these calls that I have to make some years ago. So I'm going to choose to have a good attitude about it. And he says, and then I sat in my hot tub and made these calls that I needed to for the next several hours. It's like, gee, why didn't I think about that? I should learn to appreciate my multi-million-dollar fortune and just learn to relax in my hot tub while I do my job. Again, that's not to bash on the guy. He says a lot of very useful things. But yeah, that's a great tragedy of of personal development sharing, I guess, is that in order to get to a place where you feel comfortable enough to share something, you have to no longer be in the place that your primary audience is going to be in. I don't know if that's a tragedy or that's a good thing. We could just call it a net neutral, I suppose. But yeah, and I think maybe that could be a really great thing about this channel, is that I have started from the ground up, and I'm still pretty close to the ground in terms of quality and organization and structure. And so, I don't know, people can sort of rewatch my journey someday when I'm as much as I can be, to see that I was not always there.